So one of the most common questions we get asked here at JNM is what country is the best to go to sign a professional contract? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to explain to you today in this video. But first, there's one thing that I want to make 100% clear. There's no country on the whole planet where it's going to be easy to sign a contract to play football. One of the biggest factors you want to think about when looking into other countries, and it's so simple, is passport. So what I mean by passport is what rules does that country have regarding travel, regarding work, visa, permits. Passport is such a big factor on a footballer's career, and most of you don't even know it. As I said, if you want to go and play in Germany, but you have an awful passport, it's going to be so difficult, complicated, and it's going to be a long process for you to even try and get a visa. The second question is, will you get a visa? So what you want to do is you want to look out for countries that are passport friendly for your passport. Ideally, you are able to travel to that country visa free, and it's possible for you to get a visa so you can stay there long term. Obviously, the normal case, let's say an American, a Canadian, they want to play in Europe, they can travel to Europe or the EU Schengen area visa free for 90 days. So that 90-day period allows them to travel, to go on a trial, to hopefully sign a contract, and then start the process for them to get a visa. But if you already need to get a visa to travel, it just makes things so much more difficult. So definitely number one on your list is passport. Where can you travel visa free, and where is the process for you to get a visa? Not easy, but simple. Countries that I recommend: Germany, Poland, Slovakia. Most people can travel there visa free, and the visa process is actually quite simple. We have loads and loads of players in Germany, in Poland, and Slovakia. So the second thing you want to think about is system. Now, what I mean by that is how many leagues do they have? And then within those leagues, how many are professional? So countries like England, Spain, Germany, Poland, Italy, all of these countries are great because these countries have loads and loads of leagues. And on top of that, in most of those countries, there's 3, 4, and 5 professional leagues. And in general, the more professional leagues, the better. So if you go to a country like, for example, what country can I say? Gibraltar. There's one league, it's a good league, it's a great league, but there's only one league, so there's going to be a limited amount of clubs and opportunities. In Italy, the top 3 leagues are professional, which is okay, it's good, but in Italy, the passport rules, the visa rules are not great. England has 5, almost 6 professional leagues. That's amazing. And then below those pro leagues, there's so many semi-professional clubs. But again, in England, the passport, the visa, those are extremely difficult. So countries with good systems, I would say Germany, great country. And Germany ticks off both boxes so far. Poland, 4 professional leagues, loads of leagues. And the passport situation is also good. So 2 boxes ticked off. Spain has an amazing system. Development, coaching. Spain, it's amazing. However, in Spain, the visa is always a problem for non-EU players. But there's one thing you have to think about when thinking about leagues and systems. It's the level of competition. When you go to countries like England, Spain, France, Germany, where there's loads and loads of talented players, it's going to be super, super difficult to stand out and get signed because there's so many talented players there. And in Germany, in England, they don't need to bring players from abroad because they can go and sign gym from the next town down, and it'll be cheap. Won't need to pay for accommodation. So when you are looking at these bigger countries, competition is a massive factor. Leagues that I recommend in Europe that have great systems are Poland, Germany. Yes, Germany's competitive, but the systems are great. Malta, great league system. If you play for a good team, you can end up playing Champions League. Gibraltar, I said, is competitive, but if you have a good profile, Gibraltar is a great way to play Champions League, Europa League, Conference League. And my overall favourite is Poland. Poland is great because of the visa, the passports, non-EU rules, they're great. And on top of that, the league system, it's amazing. 4 pro leagues, There's so many opportunities in Poland. Now, next one, when going abroad, there's an important factor that a lot of players do not think about. And the word I'm going to use is deal. What kind of deal are you going to get by signing in England, in Poland, in Spain? And what I mean by that is, when you sign for a team, are you going to get a good enough salary to cover your bills? Are the club going to provide accommodation, food, bonuses, so on and so on? So if you're from Canada or America or Australia or Africa, I don't care where, and you're coming over to Europe to play football, it's ideal that you're going to get a wage and accommodation. If you could tick those two things off, it's going to become so much more easier for you to play in that country, for you to afford to play in that country, and for you to apply for a visa. If you're getting paid, if you have a contract and you have your accommodation sorted for, the visa process is going to be so much more easier. Honestly, if you can get these two things by your club, you've hit the jackpot. However, especially if we talk about non-professional clubs, not all clubs have the budget to provide a salary, accommodation, food, bonuses, so on and so on. So if you're going over to Germany, to Poland, to Spain, I don't know where, it's really good to try and find other players in the same boat as you, so you can share expenses. You can get accommodation together. You can find cheap accommodation together. You can help each other with maybe getting part-time jobs, finding the same club, joining the same club, going on more trials. If you can find other people in the same boat, it's going to make it so much more easier. Now, for a good deal, there's some countries that are good, some countries that are bad. Ultimately, again, my favorite, Poland. Even in the 5th, the 6th, the 7th divisions, you can get some sort of salary. You'll get accommodation. A lot of clubs will provide part-time jobs. Some clubs will give you food. Some clubs will give you bonuses on performances, so goal bonuses, performance, 3 points, draw, so on and so on. So Poland is amazing. I would say second on the list is probably going to be Germany. A lot of clubs in Germany pay well. They provide accommodation, food, so on and so on. Malta, second division, another one. Accommodation, salary. It's a common thing to get in Malta. Spain, for example, it's a little bit different. The money in the lower leagues in Spain isn't great, and a lot of clubs cannot afford to provide accommodation. In England, in non-league, yes, you can get paid very, very well, but no clubs are going to provide you with accommodation. In Italy, yes, some clubs will pay you well and some clubs will provide you with accommodation, but again, Italy, the visa situation is not great. So ultimately, it's about doing research, speaking with people, speaking with clubs, speaking with coaches to find out what countries offer what types of deals and what type of deal you need. If you have loads of money saved or you work online, then you can pay to have your own accommodation or pay rent and things like that. But if you don't work, you don't have any money saved, then you're gonna need to get accommodation and get paid by the club. So before even traveling out to the country for a trial, make sure you find out what kind of deal you can get if you sign. And again, if you can tick off these two boxes, the visa situation is going to become so much more easier. So focus on those two things. Then finally, number 4 is your goals or pathway. So what I mean by that is, what is your end goal? Is your end goal to play professional in a certain country? Is your end goal to play in the Champions League? Is your end goal to be called up to your national team? Is your end goal to make a certain amount of money? Because depending on your answer, there's going to be countries that work better for you. Let's take Luke, for example. Luke came to us about a year ago now and said his goal is to play in the Conference League, Europa League, or the Champions League, and he wants to do that as soon as possible. Luke has experience playing in the 2nd and the 3rd division in America. So with Luke having those goals, we spoke about multiple countries: Gibraltar, Malta, Luxembourg, Lithuania, Latvia, and then finally Armenia. Armenia is a great country because the 1st division is professional. You can play against very good clubs there, and if you are able to get signed by a good club, you will have the chance to qualify for Champions League, Europa League, or the Conference League. So Luke has been playing now in Armenia for the last year. This season he started really, really well. And if he keeps on playing like this, then his chances of achieving his goals of playing in European competition is there. And that's why you need to find a country that has a good pathway to help you achieve your goals. So that can be playing in the Bundesliga. Then obviously you want to go and play in German 5th division. If your end goal is to make money, then you want to find a country where you know they pay better, Saudi Arabia. If your end goal is to play in League 1 in England, then you want to go and play in non-league. You want to be playing step 2, step 3, and going from there. If your end goal is to get a transfer market page, go to Gibraltar. If your end goal is to play in an amazing country and live on the beach, go and play in Malta. So there's countries that will work better for you, but it all depends on your end goals. So if you're looking to pick a country to go on a trial, to sign a contract, these are the 4 most important things. And if you can tick all of these off, then you are giving yourself the best chances of success, of signing a contract, and overall enjoying your football, which of course is the most important thing.